Welcome back to another reaction video, man. We have textbook murder for hire. Failed horse show producer allegedly puts 2 million hit on husband, man. This ain't the first video I've seen of a wife trying to put a hit on their husband, so I don't know what's going on, but make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button. Let's go.
A failed California horse show producer is arrested at a Starbucks after allegedly trying to have her estranged husband murdered. Former SWAT team member Chad Ayers comes on to discuss. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
And I'm Swisher ENT.
So let's head over to California, where a woman known for her involvement with her husband in a failed multi-million-dollar horse show over a decade ago is now accused of offering her friend $2 million to kill her now estranged husband. 42-year-old Tatiana Natasha Remley was arrested at a Starbucks in Solana Beach, California. The police executed a sting operation 1 month after her husband, Mark Remley, learned of this plot. You see, this mutual friend supposedly told Tatiana's husband of 12 years, Mark, that his wife offered him the money to kill him. Now, according to the criminal complaint obtained by Law and Crime, Tatiana Remley did unlawfully solicit another to commit and join in the commission of the murder of a human being. Now, Mark also alleged that just days after his wife had offered their friend money to kill him, she intentionally set fire to their Rancho Reposo home that they once shared. Tatiana Remley claims that she was present during the fire but doesn't know how it started. No charges were filed in connection to that house fire. But even before all this, Tatiana Remley has a very interesting past. You see, according to court documents, Tatiana and Mark had a rocky relationship as they filed for divorce and made up multiple times since marrying in 2011. I mentioned this business that they had been producing together back in 2012. This was a production. It was called Valatar, and it was an acrobatic equestrian show. The plan was to have it run for over 40 performances at the Del Mar Fairgrounds.
Valatar. It's kind of a sick
Yet
name.
the production fell apart and left many of the performers and vendors flat out to dry. In fact, a San Diego Union Tribune story from the time quoted the former director of Valatar, and he said that the horse show production was tripped up from the start due to the Remleys' crumbling marriage. The director said, quote, "I told Mark, I don't care about your personal life. I just don't want it to affect the show." Apparently, the couple had another business, a cycling studio that they opened in 2015, but it closed the following year. And the evidence of the couple's troubles really came to light in the most recent court filing in July of this year after separating in May. Tatiana made allegations that Mark verbally, physically, and even sexually abused her. She reportedly accuses him of pointing a gun at her head, also accuses him of chasing her around the house with a knife. Now, all these claims Mark denies, says they're made up. But among the details in the divorce filings was a claim that Tatiana was, quote, experiencing extreme financial strain since she has no income and is unable to maintain her realistic monthly expenses of just $12,000, much less what she was accustomed to at $50,000. Tatiana Remley is facing 3 charges, solicitation of murder, as well as 2 weapons charges, carrying and concealing 3 firearms not registered in her name in a vehicle, and carrying a loaded firearm in a public place not registered in her name. Remley is being held without bail at the Los Colinas detention facility. She's going to be in court on October 16th for a preliminary exam readiness hearing. All right, so clearly quite the story. But for more analysis on it, let me bring in Chad Ayers, former sheriff's deputy for Greenville County in South Carolina and former member of the SWAT team, where he served as an assistant team leader. Chad, always good to see you, and welcome back to Sidebar, sir.
It's great to be back, Jesse, and what a story we have today.
What a story. I say it feels different, but yet I've covered so many murder for hire stories. Does this one feel different for you in your experience?
Honestly, it doesn't. In my career, I actually worked undercover on several murder for hire cases. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but it doesn't. Honestly, a lot of times it's obviously for financial gain, financial reasons.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
A lot of times, in these murder for hire cases, this is a textbook murder for hire case. Don't see a lot of variance from a normal one of these.
You know what I find so interesting about them? And again, she's innocent until proven guilty. These are just allegations. But when you have the murder for hire cases where you're essentially outsourcing the work and making sure that you don't leave a fingerprint, in the cases I've seen, and I'm curious if you've seen this in your career, doesn't it leave the biggest trail of evidence, especially when the person here she allegedly hired turned on her?
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about that this morning. We are innocent until proven guilty, right? But when you have the defendant sitting there on audio and likely on camera, either, meeting with the person that they've hired or an undercover cop, you're basically getting your confession.
See, the thing is, like, she accused him of doing all that stuff, but it wasn't until they got divorced and stuff. Like, why didn't you say nothing when y'all was together? Everything was good. See, the thing is, people want money so bad that they will get somebody to murder you so you can get some type of insurance or get some type of money from a divorce. It's crazy, man. You got to be careful who you marry, bro, who you spend your time with.
Right there in real time, you're seeing it. I mean, it's the most damning piece of evidence that you have. So it is. There's no in these cases they have to be pretty sealed tight to get a good conviction, and that's why having someone on audio and video is key.
You're saying that because they can always turn around and say, I never intended for this. I was angry. I never really wanted this person to kill someone. The only issue here is I think about the money. If you can prove that she was going to give him $2 million or give this person $2 million to carry out the hit on her husband, that the amount of money is significant.
Well, sure. The amount of money is significant, but let's look at their lifestyle. Obviously, the defendant comes and was married to someone that was very successful. They had a lot of money. Obviously, we saw in the news that she's used to this lavish lifestyle. $2 million apparently isn't much for this family or for this defendant to get her hands on. But yeah, once you have someone, I've even been part of them, Jesse, where they bring the cash to the meet location, where we're meeting, we're discussing that. And same one that I was involved in was a female. She pulled a bank envelope out. So I've got I've got her asking me to do it. I've got her passing me the money to commit the crime. I mean, my case is pretty solidly wrapped up right there.
The only thing here is apparently Miss Remley, she was in the process of divorcing or separating from her husband, and she was saying that she's not bringing in any income. So it does make me wonder if she was actually going to pay up, if this was her plan. I was very curious at the way this sting operation happened. So as it was laid out, right, they apparently, the person that she was going to hire to do this turns on her, informs Mr. Remley. The police are alerted. They set up this sting operation, and they apprehend her at a Starbucks. Walk me through that.
So obviously, in these types of cases, I want to make, the person that's reaching out wanting to set up this murder for hire, I want to make them as comfortable as possible. I don't want anything out of line that's different than their way of life. So what better place than to meet in a coffee shop to have this conversation? And obviously, in that coffee shop, they're probably going to have other undercovers in there surveilling her as a cover team in case things go bad in that situation. But again, it's not breaking, it doesn't really surprise me because the one I did was actually at a McDonald's, eating inside a McDonald's when we did the takedown inside there. So obviously when the arrest takes place, people are in shock. But again, that's her way of life. We want to make them as comfortable as possible as we're building this case.
Do you do that if you're going to do it in a public area? Do you do it at a time when there's less traffic?
Well, so obviously in a case like this person is reaching out. And so the idea that this person's likely armed or going to commit some type of violence, not very likely. So daytime, that doesn't really bother me in this type of situation. Now, if this was someone that law enforcement was meeting with that was probably the person going to commit the murder,
right?
Sure, I would probably try to do that in a situation where there's not a lot of pedestrians or innocent civilians around in a more controlled environment to limit any type of possible danger to the community.
Now, Remley has accused her husband of all kinds of abuse. She talked about physical abuse. She talked about him threatening her. She talked about sexual abuse. It was laid out in their divorce petition. And I'm curious, when you think about the couple's tumultuous history, how that might have played as a factor into the current criminal case that she's now facing.
Well, I think it's also important to note when you look into this case, there has been documented evidence or documented police reports where all of her allegations, I believe, have been proven to be unfounded. So you have a paper trail of that. Now, sure, there are times where people hit rock bottom and do murder for hires or kill a spouse. because of true allegations of abuse and documents of physical abuse. This situation, it kind of sounds like Ms. Remley's grasping for straws to build her defense in this type of case. But again, that's what our court system's for, is to let this play out.
We also know that, and one of the reasons I think this has gained headlines, aside from the fact that you have a woman paying or wanting to pay or allegedly paying so much money to have her husband killed, is that the Remleys were involved in this equestrian production about in 2012. It went belly up, and there is a question if it was their personal problems that led to this and basically left some of the performers without any money, without being paid out. And I'm curious, when you think about that aspect, you think it plays into this case at all?
Sure. I mean, I think the famous phrase, desperate times call for desperate measures. And so obviously this family and Miss Remley went from a lavish lifestyle of, I think they were talking about she was spending close to $500,000 a month on her lifestyle, flashy cars.
It's crazy.
And the business goes belly up. You lose a bunch of money. Obviously, she's not getting the income. After the divorce or separation, the courts ordered her husband to pay her like $12,000, $15,000 a month. So she's not able to keep up with her lavish lifestyle. So is there the question I have, is there an life insurance policy in play, where she was going to get a bunch of money to be able to start living back that lavish lifestyle? Should this hit actually take place? I don't know. I think this is going to be a great, case to watch through the finish line.
And in terms of where she is right now, my understanding at the time of this recording, she's locked up. But she is eligible for bail. The court would have to sign off on it. I don't think there's been any order as of right now. Do you think she'll make bail? Do you think she'll be eligible? I mean, do you think she could do it? Why would she be eligible for bail, I guess?
It's a tough one. I mean, I think she could probably make bail. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of stipulations, I would assume, that the courts and the judge puts in place. If someone that's tried to murder her or hire someone to murder her husband is going to be released out on bail, there's probably going to be GPS monitoring on her, ankle monitor where they're watching her 24/7, weekly check-ins, things like that. A judge isn't just going to let someone that's trying to kill her husband out. Unfortunately, in this day and age, I've even seen murder suspects who have been charged with murder released out and, back into the community. It always, I never understood this. It's things like murders or manufacturing methamphetamine, those types of cases where judges put these people back in their homes where they've been, doing the crimes. But do I think she could make bail? I think she can make bail with stipulations, should I say.
Yeah, well, I would imagine so. Chad Ayers, thanks so much for coming on, talking about this.
Thank you so much, Chad Ayers, man. This is a situation where you have a young girl who met a rich dude, which we see a lot, especially with social media today. She's living a certain type of lifestyle for many years. They said about since 2012, I want to say maybe even longer. The money's not there. The money's not coming in like it used to. They get a divorce. He probably got him a new, young thing that respect the money he do have. She didn't like that, and she losing money. She's not able to live that $500,000 a month lifestyle that she was doing. So when you do that, and when you get to that point, a lot of people take desperate measures and, willing to kill somebody in order to get a certain amount of money off of a divorce or what that is. And this is a situation that sounds like she hired somebody to do that for her because she don't want to go back to working at Target, McDonald's, or any of these places. She want to be able to just do what she wants and be spoiled like a little brat, man. So, I do think that she was lying on him. None of that stuff happened, and she's just trying to say whatever to get out of the situation. It's a sad situation, man. That's why everybody got to be careful who you talk to, who you marry, and who you spend your time with. And, it's just crazy situation. But make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. More videos coming out every day, so make sure you stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.